Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. You know what? There's never been anything like Bitcoin before. I personally believe that Bitcoin does not need to scale any further than it's already scaled. With 7 transactions a second, I believe is more than ample to cover the entire network, and I'm going to explain to you the reason why. I believe that's what's going to actually happen with Bitcoin is it acts like a sponge for liquidity. People buy Bitcoin, they don't sell Bitcoin. And this is going to continue, but it's going to get a lot worse, this effect of HODLing Bitcoin, specifically Bitcoin. Not so much these other coins, not even so much Litecoin, but Litecoin is a hodler's coin too, but mostly Bitcoin. You know, Litecoin and all the other coins are going to go up with Bitcoin. They are going to go up with Bitcoin, but none of them are going to achieve what Bitcoin achieves. What I believe Bitcoin is actually going to become is a store of the purest form of liquidity. Bitcoin, I believe, is going to become the purest form of liquidity on Earth, even more pure form of liquidity than gold. And because it can do things gold can't do. It can be instantaneously transferred across the internet. It's scarcer than gold. And so I believe the world's going to latch on to it, and they're going to hoard it. The whole world is going to hoard it, and as they hoard it, the price is going to go higher and higher. What it's doing is it's actually absorbing all of the wealth of the world. It's absorbing the gold. It's absorbing the land. It's absorbing our laborers. As the market cap goes higher and higher and higher and higher. At a certain point, Bitcoin stops moving. I shouldn't say it stops moving, but the movement of Bitcoin across the internet is going to slow way down. Nobody is going to be moving it unless they move a large amount of money. It's going to be impossible to move Bitcoin without moving a large amount of money. In other words, if you move in the future, looking off into the future when Bitcoin becomes what I think it's going to become, if you move 5% of a Bitcoin, you're going to be moving a large amount of money. We're talking about more money than most people could ever work their entire lifetime for. If you move just 5% of a Bitcoin. People are certainly not going to be spending it at the grocery store. They're not going to be spending it for a cup of coffee. They're not going to be spending it for any of these things that people worry now. People are worried right now. They're saying, hey, you know what? Bitcoin just costs more for a transaction than the cup of coffee's worth and so on. Yes, this is true. People are not going to use it for that. People are going to transfer larger amounts when they want to move money from one person to another, or move money within the banking system, or move large amounts of money. Bitcoin is going to remain in these people's wallets as a store of value like gold. Just look at gold. What happens with gold? It goes into a vault, and there it sits. Once in a while, they'll move it from one vault to another vault. And it's a big effort. They have to get big trucks and everything, and they have to get security guards, and they have to get forklifts to pick the tons of gold up out of the vault and move it into, and then they have to put it on some sort of an airplane that's got guards, and then they fly it to the next country, and all this rigmarole, and it takes weeks. When a bank will want, or a central bank will want their gold repatriated, you know, they don't move gold much otherwise, because then when it moves to the new location, there it sits in another person's vault, in another country's vault, when gold is repatriated. So most of the time, gold, because it's a pure liquidity, right now, at this period in time, it's the purest form of liquidity, it just sits. All the time it just sits. This is what's going to happen to Bitcoin too, is most of the time it's going to just be sitting. But it's going to represent, it's going to take gold's place, is what I believe is actually going to happen. Now, I know these gold guys are going to hate to hear me say this. They're going to be very upset, but the reason why it's going to take gold's place is because it can be transferred across the internet very quickly, and gold can't. Like I said, all that rigmarole. They got to load it into a plane of security guards and everything else, and then they got to put it in a new vault, and they got to move. It's heavy. You know? It's not light. And they got to stack it and everything else, and then they got to do an assessment of how much they got, and they go through all this rigmarole. Bitcoin, they go over and they write in the guy's address and they hit send. Bing! 5 minutes later, or 10 minutes later, it's there at the destination. So, say they send $5 million across the internet. They don't care if it costs them $10. Like right now, people are saying, okay, Bitcoin will never be used as money because it costs $10 to send a transaction and a cup of coffee only costs $5 and Nobody's going to be buying a cup of coffee with it. They're going to be sending like $5 million for $10. That's what they're going to really use it for. But most of the time, it's going to sit in people's wallets where they're going to hold it forever. Bitcoin is going to all be gobbled up and going to all represent a store of value. Most of it's going to be gobbled up by people who got big money. And they're getting very interested right now in cornering the market. Let me show you guys what's going on. Let me start the charts right here. First thing we're going to take a look at is coin market cap today. $267.8 billion. Bitcoin is in its infancy right now. And don't you think these rich people don't know that. Let's take a look at this article. Wealthy clients wants to acquire 25% of all the Bitcoins circulating in the world right now. And this article, it says, Dai syndicate owner, a syndicate. Now, I don't know much about this syndicate, this Dai syndicate. It looks to me like they work with artwork and stuff. It says, Dai Syndicate, which describes itself as the world's first special-purpose company turning digital wealth into real wealth, last year auctioned 49% of American artist Andy Warhol's artworks. Now, you know, we're talking a lot of money. 50% of Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol, if you guys don't know about it, he's a very, very famous artist, and his it's like Picasso's. His paintings are worth a lot of money. We're talking serious money now. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. Anyway, this art syndicate, this Dai Syndicate, it says one of our clients approached us and said they were interested in acquiring 25% of all the Bitcoins currently available. And it says there are a number of entities who want to dominate the market. Less than 5 million Bitcoins circulating in the crypto market right now. So they want to buy, evidently, 1.1 million Bitcoins. You know? And they want to get them cheap. These guys, you know what I think's starting to happen? I think these serious investors, these guys who have a lot of money, these hedge funds and these money managers and everything else, they're starting to buy Bitcoin. They're noticing that this year, this is the best performing asset class. And it's starting to come into its own. It's starting to have a certain amount of stability. But also, these guys are sharks. They realize that if they buy in, they're buying in alone with the kind of money that they have is going to drive the price up. And so then whatever they bought in, however much they bought in, their holdings then become worth more. And then another shark will come in. And he'll drive it up a bit higher. And the first guy in the bottom of the pyramid who bought in, his value goes up again on the back of the next guy who bought in, on the back of the next guy that bought in. The first thing you know, you got a snowballing effect of institutional money and big-time investors coming in. This guy alone says that he wants to corner the market, basically, because buying 25% is going to start to corner the market. This is what I've been talking about for a long time, that we could quite literally be looking at a Bitcoin shortage at some point. Because there's just not enough of them to go around. I'm not talking about futures contracts. I'm not talking about exchange-traded funds or anything like that. I'm talking about Bitcoins. Bitcoins, they simulate a tangible asset to such a degree, with such a limited supply, that yes, you can quite literally have a Bitcoin shortage where you cannot buy them because they're just not available. Of course, the Bitcoin shortage would not last very long. In fact, it might only last for a matter of minutes. What will happen is you will see during the Bitcoin shortage, during those minutes, probably a matter of minutes, you'll see the price race up. I mean, you'll see a green candle shooting straight up to the moon, going straight up, not going sideways any, but just going straight up, possibly thousands of dollars. And suddenly the Bitcoin shortage will end because it'll hit a price mark. It'll bust through a price mark where people are willing to sell. The Bitcoin shortage will end. The Bitcoin shortage will be an event that could happen over and over and over again to drive the price higher. In other words, you get a Bitcoin shortage, it might last 15 or 20 minutes. Then the market is resupplied when it hits new price levels. And then they're all scooped up again, and then you get another Bitcoin shortage, which in turn would drive the market up to the next level of price levels. And we're talking moves up in the market that could happen within a matter of minutes, quite literally, to drive the Bitcoin price up thousands and thousands of dollars. The opposite of a flash crash. This is like, it would just be ridiculous. Anyone sitting on the sidelines would have their jaw dropped open at what could possibly be going to come in our future for Bitcoin if you get a notable amount of these people coming in here who all want a corner of the market simultaneously. And basically, they realize that no matter what level Bitcoin goes up to, it's all a psychological level. In other words, what is a cheap Bitcoin? At one time, we thought a 2-cent Bitcoin was an expensive Bitcoin. Now it's an $8,000 Bitcoin. And, and tomorrow it might be a $9,000 Bitcoin as a cheap Bitcoin. What is a cheap Bitcoin, really? I mean, would a $100,000 Bitcoin be a cheap Bitcoin? Would a $200,000 Bitcoin be a cheap Bitcoin in the future? It's all in our minds. And because of this, and because of the features that this asset class offers, it's the most suitable asset in the world, more so than gold, for hoarding. It's digital gold, basically. And it's starting to move more and more toward its position as becoming digital gold. And they want to all accumulate it up for themselves. All these rich people, they want to buy it up now because they know that's where it's heading. And they're if this guy is in talking about a wealthy client wants to acquire 25% of all the Bitcoin circulating supply, there's a lot more of them out there thinking exactly the same thing, who have voluminous amounts of money sitting, doing nothing but being eaten away by inflation. Because even rich people, they go into cash. They're not all in the stock market or all. They have a lot of their money in capital, and they keep it in cash. And being as this is still a small market, they could easily corner it. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this report, and we'll catch you guys very soon again. Bye-bye.